Thank you, thank you. First of all, very good to be here, and thanks a lot for everybody coming in from all over the world. Really, really appreciate it. I think it's a very good, good event for all of us to learn and to share ideas and, and what we're doing. For example, with Klaus here, very concrete things. I'm going to take a step up again and talk more about some of the trends and vision, but we will also try to make them more concrete through some demos by Mark and Jan Helge. First of all, I start with our vision. This was created up in the Norwegian mountains, January, February 2010, lots of snow. There was a few of us up in a cabin. And we thought, okay, we're going to start a company, what are we going to do? And what we came up with was this exact sentence after a couple of days. And what it says is that we, in C-Sense, wants to be the best in the world in helping companies like yourself understand people or consumers or users online to help you engage them and monetize them. At that time, I think there was really no terms as big data or DMP or stuff like that. So this was more a direction we saw coming. We saw that while before that, let's say from the late 90s till about 2010, the whole search revolution came, where people typed in something and sort of requested the search to take them to where they wanted. What we believe going forward is that consumers expect just the content to come to us. Of course, to do that, we, as media companies or technology companies, need to understand what people want, so we can give them the right content. But of course, we also need to make money, as John Payton said, so we also need then ways to monetize. So as a backup, for this vision, we also needed to create some technology, and that's where we created the C-Sense technology platform. Really, in a couple of sentences, it's about understanding what every person does across any type of device, across any type of site, maybe complemented with offline data, CRM data, and then use that to create better user experiences, more relevant advertising, more relevant content, more relevant promotions, again, to create engagement and to make money from them. And we have a lot more about that, both on the demos, but also, over the next couple of days. To put this a little bit in perspective, what's going on in the industry, I think there's some very obvious industry trends. Maybe you believe they are too obvious, but I think it's important to keep that at the top of our minds. So the first one, of course, is that publishers need to become better publishers, or digital publishers. That's been a key topic for these 2 days. It's obvious: personalization, more effective advertising, programmatic advertising, data-driven advertising, personalization, all these things. But also, very importantly, you need to become better digital marketers. So what does this mean? The first thing just means you need to be better at what you're already doing to create better content, personalize it, and to sell advertising against that content. The second thing is, as we talked about, advertising is going to go down, according to John Payton. You need to replace it with new types of revenue streams. Okay, one obvious one, of course, is Wall Street Journal. They make money from subscriptions, fine. And you also, and some of you will also make some money from subscriptions, for example, with South China Morning Post. But you also need to make money from other things. Services, products, maybe e-commerce, we don't know. What is that about? It's about marketing. You need to be good not just to publish content and sell ads against the content, you need to also be able to market the products and services that you will provide to consumer. This is a new skill that you need to get into. And I'll come back with a few examples of what that means. Then, of course, we have sort of the other side of the value chain. We have the brands or the marketers, or often in our terms here called the advertisers. Of course, they're quite good already, but they need to be even better digital marketers. I'll come back with some examples of that too. So the brands, they of course need to be even better to reach the consumer with better promotions, ads, etc. It's of course one of the key focuses already, but they need to be even better in the digital market. And then, as Klaus, I don't know where he is, he just touched on in his very last sentence. These brands or marketers, they actually cannot just push their products anymore. They also need to become publishers. They need to create content. In these terms, again, it's called content marketing and stuff like that. But actually, many of the big companies in the world, the big brands like Procter & Gamble, etc., they're already hiring more journalists, for example, than Schibsted. Because they realize I can't just sell whatever it is, shampoo and stuff like that, I also need to create content around it to engage consumers. So they need to become better publishers. Some of them, the big one, they will do that in-house and hire journalists, but others, they need the expertise of publishers. So exactly as Klaus Miller said, this is also a huge business opportunity for media companies, because you can help the brands with creating that content and also presenting that content, not just on their own sites, but also across media sites. So now we'll go a little bit and talk about each of these 4 points, and just with some concrete examples of how a few companies is doing it. Okay, better digital publishing, that's a key thing about this whole conference. So of course, I think the most, for me, surprising, positively surprising thing that that happened just a few weeks ago, we got our first media company in the world, I believe, where they've actually personalized or automated the delivery of the whole front page. I took that, if somebody had asked me 6 months ago, I would have expected that to take at least 5 more years. The Canadian newspaper, Winnipeg Free Press, they're actually now personalizing or automating the delivery of the whole front page by using algorithms and technology. Then, of course, a key thing is also how can I get the unknown or anonymous users to be known because I want to communicate with them and engage them more. Maybe to, just to get them to read more, or maybe also to convert them into subscriptions or selling other products and services. In this case, for example, they are offering some simple services, like for example, if I just register, I get my news and read later service, which also means that when I then, for example, if I'm on a phone in the morning, I can just mark an article, and then when I get over to my job, then I can read the rest on my PC. So you get both sort of cross, or you get in cross-site personalizations as well, or cross-device personalization. So you can actually take that into account when you present content. For example, I may avoid showing the same content on the PC if I've already read it on my mobile in the morning. Quite good user experience. Now I'll hand over to Mark, and he'll talk a little bit about how we can, also use this cross-device for advertising.
So this picture or this graphic here represents, I think, a reality that most of you face now. You heard it consistently as a theme this morning from John and from Elsie and from Klaus. That your users are present in multiple devices simultaneously. It's often that I might research something on Google on my phone, and I'll flag that as something that I want to read more about a bit later. I get into work, and I pull up the same kind of search criteria on my desktop, and I go and conduct some more research about that topic. So just there in researching that one piece of information or that one story, I've used 2 devices. And of course, that appears in your statistics as 2 users, but it's not 2 users, it's 1 user. Right. So that's both quite a challenge for you, but it's also an incredible opportunity. Because by using the behavior that I have on one device to influence the experience I get on another, it's a very powerful user experience for me. So Marcus just mentioned that we do this quite well with the Winnipeg Free Press. That's actually much harder to say than I thought. So what I'm going to do today, and I think I probably need Elsie's help for a calming yoga session here before this, I'm about to do the first technical demo of the day, and it requires me to switch PCs again. So this should work. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to show you is on the left-hand side here, I have my browser, and it's running on this Mac. And on the right-hand side, I have a screencast of my... Come on. See, I jinxed it, didn't I? Let's try this again. Okay, let's do this. Okay, there we go. Seamless, seamless. All right, so I'm basically just going to quickly clear everything to give you an idea of how this works. Okay, so I've cleared my phone. So my phone now knows there's no CSense tracking, there's no knowledge in CSense about this user on this phone. So what I'm going to show you on the browser is I'm going to go in and browse a CSense-powered website. And we've heard today a lot about how data leakage is kind of a core issue for you. You place a third party's tag on your site, and they start profiling and building. They extract that data and they use it to build profiles. So here what we're doing is I've initialized this session. I've got a brand new browser. CSense doesn't know anything about me. So you're using a CSense tag to build a data profile on me, and currently there's no targeting. There's no knowledge about what this user does, right? So this is basically a site called Super Auto's blog. It's obviously made up. Here I'm going to just cheat, because for the demo purposes we're going to sidestep this. But let's say as a user on your site, I've performed an action that you'd like to mark in my profile. Perhaps I've subscribed to your site. Perhaps I've added an item to my shopping cart. Perhaps I've hit a particular threshold in consuming some content. Right? So this is the technical demo version of here's one I prepared earlier. So we've just stamped my profile with something that's interesting to you. So, all right, so I'll go back. I'll go back to this, go back to the site and refresh. Okay, and then I'll link this to my external ID. So what this is basically doing is taking a first-party cookie or a first-party user login or any other kind of common identifier between the user on your site and this session on this device. So I'm kind of linking that device to a common identifier. So that, as I said, can be a first-party cookie supplied by you, could be a user login or a membership ID. It's basically attaching that to my user profile in CSense. Okay, so if I load this up here, now I'll go over to my phone, and I should load up Safari. Okay, this is where I cross my fingers. Okay, so I browse the CSense website, and you can see I have no content, right? It's the same experience on my phone as it is on my browser on the left. Okay, I'm going to link to my external ID. And then this is the moment we're all waiting for. There we go, come on, bang. So you can now see that I've used behavior on my phone is actually picking up a profile that I set on this browser. Did that make sense? Yeah? Quiet room. I'm hoping I'm seeing nodding heads. That was pretty cool. That was the demo. All right. So just to explain what happened there, did you note I triggered a profile ad or a profile event on the browser? All right. I tagged that user profile with a common identifier. I then linked this phone to that same common identifier. And you may immediately ask, well, surely that's one of the most difficult problems. It isn't actually, because remember that the idea of... Okay? The idea of building a user experience to drive that kind of value-added behavior, that's going to help a user want to register with your site, to log in, to trigger things like send me an email when a new property that matches my search criteria arrives in your database. You know, there's lots of cross-device experiences that you can build that let you tag those two profiles across device. So here is, thankfully, a demo showing how easy that is. You trigger that experience, you tag both profiles, and you can deliver a targeted advertisement on a completely different device through using our technology. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, quite simple from a demo perspective, but we have spent 3-4 years to develop the technology that is underlying this for ID management and stuff like that, and something that I think is increasingly important also, as you try to get more and more users from being anonymous to being identified in one shape or another. Of course, in terms of publishing, Mr. Payton also said that most of the social media, if not all, is going to be video. So video personalization is also going to be important. I think we have a friend from the US, Tom Wilde, presenting more on that later today around 4. Not going to talk much more about that, but actually also to create engaging video experiences is very important. And also some people have mentioned, while email is an old-fashioned technology, it remains very effective, not just for marketing, but also for providing content. However, emails needs to be more personalized to be engaging. So, for example, with Asia One, which is one of the leading newspaper in Singapore, Southeast Asia, they've seen significant uptake in newsletters. They have more than 40% opening rate on personalized email newsletters, quite high click rates as well. So it shows how you can actually engage people more and get them to spend more time across your properties. Then, as I mentioned, you need to also become much better as marketeers. I think that's still an early field. Yes, you've been good at converting consumers to subscribe to print newspapers, but you need to also do this in the digital world. And I think the best examples we have so far is around subscriptions. I think it is also, as Peyton said, when he said, he was asked, do you have any other examples of media companies being successful in making money from anything but subscriptions? I think there's not that many. So the one I'll talk about today is about subscriptions. But I think when we meet here again in 1 year's time, we will have a lot more examples also about how media companies and publishers are able to convert users to also buy other products and services. Of course, again, Wall Street Journal, one of the most successful newspapers in the world. 70% of the revenue is from subscriptions. And where we work with them is basically globally on being able to convert readers to more loyal readers and to subscribers, and also to get churned subscribers to re-subscribe, which is also quite important and effective way of generating more revenues from subscriptions. And key thing here again, it needs to be down to the individual, the context of individuals. You need to have different types of campaigns that automatically adapt to the context of the user. And we do this, again, both on mobile and web and across the world. For those of you who are interested, we can also share more details on what we have done with them. Then brands, of course, typically quite good at branding in general, but as is going away from TV to more digital world, they also need to learn. One of our first customers in this area is Commercial Bank of Dubai, financial services. In general, banks are surprisingly poor in adapting to the consumers online. I think even here in Norway, which we think we are front of the market and stuff like that. But if you go to almost any bank, we get exactly the same experience on the website and on the mobile as well. It's quite poor. So what we did with Commercial Bank of Dubai, they also started to use Facebook as a channel of driving new consumers into their website. And then we basically used data, both first-party offline data. So for example, am I a credit card customer already, or do I have an insurance or a bank account? Combined with behavioral data and the context of the user to adapt the promotions. Quite simple, but it increased the conversions with 35 to 42% for different offers. So it shows that even or that conventional brands that you may think are quite good are also have huge upside for starting to use data in the same way that you need to do in your marketing. Then I'll turn over to Jan Helge. He will show some of the new capabilities that we have launched and are launching in the coming weeks, which help both brands and publishers be better at marketing, i.e. driving campaigns, measuring conversions, etc.
Thank you, John. One of the more obvious scenarios for using the Seasons platform for commerce purposes would, for instance, doing segment-based recommendations. So if you look on the top there, we show product recommendations for people who previously engaging a lot with both products. Further down, you could also use our ad server to deliver targeted promotions based on segments. So in this case, maybe promoting a new version of a mobile phone based on the fact that you have purchased a similar branded phone in the past. What I want to focus on right now is kind of a preview of one of the many demos we're going to show during the product sessions tomorrow. And in this case, I'm going to focus on conversion tracking. So in the past, we've done most of the tracking from websites based on page view events. And now we are introducing something we call performance events, which is sub-page view events that can be used for many different tracking scenarios. So what I've done here is put together a demo shopping website. So that's on the left-hand side. And I've actually hooked up these performance events to the Add to Cart button. So every time somebody clicks on the Add to Cart button, these events go into our DMP. And on the right-hand side, you see some of the first widgets we will have in terms of tracking which products go into the cart in real time. So now I'm starting to navigate around the site. I'm clicking the Add to Cart buttons. And on the right-hand side, you have this real-time stream of products being added to the cart on the site across any user on the site. The good thing, though, is that you could leverage all of these events to create new segments. So if you go back into the data management platform, I will now be able to create a segment for everyone who have put a particular product in their shopping cart. So in this case, I'm selecting the product Apple iPad mini. So far, not a lot of users. It's just me in this case. And this segment could then, for instance, be used for retargeting purposes. So let's say that you put something on your shopping cart, you haven't completed the purchase. And in this case, I've gone into our ad server and booked a retargeting campaign for the iPad mini targeted towards this specific segment. Another new thing which we're also using these performance tracking for is all of the interaction with the ads that we deliver from our ad servers. So whenever someone sees an ad or clicks an ad, we have new widgets in the DMP that is going to capture that type of information. So now I'm refreshing the page to generate a new ad impression. And top left, you'll see the widget that lists the campaigns that are active on this particular page, and then it decreases with one impression. The other thing I could do is go down and click on the ad. So this will drive me over to the original shopping website. And in the widget below there, you're going to see that the iPad mini campaign then receives another click. This information is yet again possible to use for the purpose of segment creation. So if I go into the DMP again, I can now create a new segment based on the users who have clicked on that particular campaign. So I do that by selecting the performance parameters group. I select the campaign criteria. And in this case, I'm selecting the campaign ID, which is a bit technical. So we're going to allow you to also select by the campaign title. And I also want to restrict it only to the click event type. So this segment, again, could be used for different types of retargeting purposes. So with that, I'd like to welcome you to all of the different product sessions we have tomorrow. And we'll dive into details. This is the first time I've created the PowerPoint larger than 700 megabytes. I'm looking forward to go through that one with you. And back to you, John.
Yeah, so the capabilities he just showed here are extremely powerful because you can start to create really high-value data on every individual and what they're doing, not just what they're reading, but also what they're interacting with, clicking on, stuff like that, both for targeting, reporting, and optimization. This is a key capability when it comes to really doing very effective, for example, subscription optimization or conversion optimizations for e-commerce or other types of products and services. Again, I would encourage you to be, as Jan Helge said, on the sessions tomorrow to learn more about this. And I'm sure also you are going to come up with a lot of new innovations on how you can use these capabilities. Last point, fourth point, was around, okay, we have you need to be, of course, be better digital publishers and marketers, and the brands needs to be better, marketers. But also, there's a mega trend around. Brands also cannot just sell products anymore. They need to create value for consumers around creating content, whether being videos, text, images, or all kinds of content. And that's a new area for brands. It's a known area for you. So again, it's an opportunity for you to actually take the competence you have and help brands be better at it. I'll just come up with one example that we know a little bit about, which is Red Bull. Of course, I think we all know the brand, the drinks company. But they are becoming one of the world's biggest media companies or publishers in terms of high-definition TV, or high-definition video, sorry. So they have all kinds of channels, even their own TV channel, I think, where they create a lot of content. And they also see that for them to be even stronger in the future, they need to create more content, and they need to be able to distribute that content in a meaningful way. So personalization, again, is going to be very, very important. Some of that, these brands will be able to do in-house, but a lot of it is also, as I said, an opportunity for you to help them create content and also distribute their content across media sites.